Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be doing a full face of makeup as I talk about some things that have nothing to do with makeup. Today we're going to be talking about how to transform yourself. I've shared before that 2023, the word that came to mind at the beginning of the year as I was really struggling to figure out what's next was the word transformation. And it's just funny, the power of words. So let's get into it. I want to teach you how to transform yourself. I have 5 things that I've written down, but as you know, we'll dive deep into each one. I'd love to know what you guys think. I would also like to know for people that are in that space right now mentally, leave your thoughts down below, your tips. Like, what are you doing to transform yourself to a better version of you? So let's get into it. Okay, so if you came to my channel and you don't normally watch makeup content, I am primarily a makeup channel that is kind of under construction, if you will. Now, I'm definitely not saying that I'm switching up my content. I just think that I can mix my love for makeup, get ready for the day, and then really talk through what's been going on. That's what we're doing today. If you're not into makeup, just listen. It's still going to be really good information. I'm not really going to talk about my makeup. I don't in Get Readies with me for the most part, but I will list everything down below and I'll try to show it as I'm talking. Okay, so 2022 was tough. If you've been following me for a while, you already know. Not going to get into it, but I will link the video with my husband that talks about all of that so you can get up to speed. At the end of 2022, I started to feel very antsy. I just was very unsettled, and I said, okay, enough with the pity party of one. I am not a victim. I need to shake out of it, and I need to become intentional once again with my goals and where I want to go in 2023. Now, this is not, something that I really know how to do though. Like, how do I become intentional about my goals and then achieve them? And I say that because I feel like I'm just so blessed. Like, if you asked me, how I got to where I am in life, I would just kind of say, and I actually always say, I fell into my career by default. It just happened, honestly. And then somehow 23 years later, I'm here, successful, running a division within my firm. And I don't really know how I got here. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. And when you start to look back, you start to see, well, oh, I was actually really intentional about this that got me here. And then I was intentional about this one thing that got me there. And so I can kind of trace back and see what actually happened. But as I was going through it, I had no idea. I literally just kind of stumbled here. So I'm just not okay with that anymore. It's like the more information you have, the more you want to do, or at least that's been my experience. And in 2022, or towards the end, what I wanted to do was shake out of this space of feeling like a victim, throwing myself a pity party. And because everybody said, oh, you're allowed to feel that way. Of course I was, but I'm not allowing myself to stay there. So anyway, all that to say is I said 2023 will be the year of transformation. I was going gung-ho. I thought I had a plan. You guys would see me post, daily shorts on YouTube, weekly content. Like I was on it, okay? And then slowly, as it happens with most goals that people set at the beginning of the year, it just kind of starts to slow down. Life happens and all of that. Okay. There's been this nagging feeling that I just can't get rid of. And this is going to go into my first point that I want to make here. I'll just preview it by saying, number one thing on how to transform yourself, pay attention to that unsettling feeling that you have inside of you. Pay close attention. I recently heard this podcast. I have been obsessed with Mel Robbins recently. If you don't know Mel Robbins, I'll link her channel down below, but she does a lot of like life coaching, I think, individually, but then she also likes to talk about how to reinvent yourself, how to transform yourself, and coaches you along the way. She's a motivational speaker, if you will, radio personality. Okay, so she's on this podcast with Dr. Tama Bryant out of Pepperdine University, many accomplishments, and they're having this conversation. And then there's something that Dr. Tama Bryant says during the podcast that just literally makes me stop. Hard stop. I'm just like, wait, what did she say? And I rewind it. And then I listened to it again. I ended up listening to it like 3 or 4 times. And when I tell you that nothing recently, yeah, nothing that I can remember recently has like spontaneously made me burst into tears so quickly, like not a joke. I could not believe that she had pinpointed exactly what my problem was. And I just, maybe I didn't have words for it. This is what she said. She said, the reason that you're feeling unsettled, the reason why you're just not at ease is because we were not created to settle. And she's like, so I would challenge you. Look inside and see where it is that you're settling. Are you settling with your job, with your career, with your marriage, with the type of parent you are, the type of sister, daughter, mom, whoever that you are? Are you settling? If you are, be honest with you and yourself alone, but that's the reason why you feel so unsettled. And so, oh my God, I burst into tears and I'm just like, what is this lady saying? Like, how does she know my life? And, but instantly I knew she's exactly right. That's why I've had like this feeling inside, like, I almost feel, and this is so funny, but this is how I feel. I've never even said this to anybody. I feel like a middle-aged man. Like every day I wake up and I'm like, am I having a midlife crisis? Like, I know there's more. I know there's more out there for me, and I just don't know how to get it. Like, sometimes I'll sit there and I don't know if I'm pondering, planning, or daydreaming, but I just sit there and I work out this whole thing in my mind, and I'm like, okay, I know exactly how to get there. I'm going to do it through this or through that or digital products or this or that about whatever, and it's always a little different or a variation of. And then when it comes time to actually take the next step, I never do, right? Because I always have struggled with knowing, like, what am I good at? Actually, like 6 months ago, right around the beginning of the year, I texted my cousins and my sister. We have this group text, and I said, guys, this is a serious question. Like, I need help. I can't figure it out. Like, what am I good at? They all start like texting me different things. A lot of them said the same thing, actually. They were like, you're really good at motivating people. You're really good at public speaking, like, things like that, right? And I'm like, okay, yeah, all right. Okay, I'm really good at public speaking. What do I talk about? I literally don't have like, a higher education. I don't have, a degree in psychology, or don't have people that would put me on a stage to just launch my motivational speaker career. Like, I don't have any of that. I'm like, how do I take the I'm a good speaker and turn it into something, right? Once I get to that point where I'm, but how, but how, but how? And then I don't have the how, I just kind of let it die off. And I wish that, I could move on and just not worry about it. But that nagging feeling just keeps coming back and keeps coming back. And so when Dr. Tama Bryant said, the reason you feel unsettled is because you were not created to settle. And this is not just me or a part, like an elite group. This is everybody. Everybody. That's how we were created. We were created to create. And so it just really, really hit hard. And I feel like I'm starting to get to the point where I think I know what direction it is. So then the next part where I always get stuck is, and we're going to go into number 2 here. And it's how to find your path when you don't know what your passion is. Now, I can say I'm a passionate person. I am a Pisces. I'm a dreamer. I love things and I love creating stories in my head. And I love envisioning me doing these amazing things. But then a week later, I am passionate about something else, and I think that you guys have seen that in my channel. I used to think like the reason I'm not growing is because I'm just not that focused. I'm not consistent. I'm not this. I mean, I had every excuse in the room. But then I also was pretty honest. I was like, I'm not consistent. I'm not this. I'm not that. And that's why I'm not growing and blah, blah, blah. Where in reality, what it is, yes, this is a great hobby and I enjoy it. The reason why I can't seem to become consistent is because it's not really where my passion lies. Now, I still love makeup. Don't get it twisted. That's not changing. But what I'm saying is there has to be a deeper why. There has to be a deeper why. And that's what I just wasn't clear about. And I'm like, how do I figure out what my why is? It can't simply be, oh, I want to be able to create a good life for my kids, or I want to be able to live this life. It can't just be that. Maybe for some people, but not for me. There has to be a deeper meaning behind it. Along with that is like, how do you figure out what your passion is? I honestly feel like a 20-year-old, like 22-year-old, when they finish college and they're like, which way do I go? Like, I have no idea which direction to go. And that's what always stops me. That's where every time I get up and I try to start, figuring things out, that's where I'm dead stopped and I don't move from that place. So I'm going to show you today how to figure it out. Now, this is the part that I always get stuck on, but I think what is so powerful about this moment, or I guess the moment a few days ago when I finally figured it out, is that it has taken so long. Like, why couldn't I read in between the lines? And why couldn't I figure it out? And that's why I wanted to film this video, because I want to share that message. Like, if you listen to a bunch of motivational speakers or life coaches and whatever, and they say a lot of really nice things, you feel inspired, you're ready to do it, but then they don't tell you exactly how to do it, and you kind of struggle like me. Like, there's some people that are just really good at figuring it out. I'm not. You need to give me the formula in writing and I will follow it to the T. That's just who I am. So I heard the formula, and I don't even think it came from one person. I think it came from a few different podcasts. But the formula is this: like, how do you find your path when you don't know what your passion is? What you do is you figure out what you're good at, okay? What you're good at and what energizes you the most. So I'll give you an example of a story that I heard. There's this woman, she was in an abusive marriage and she wanted to get out. She just couldn't do it anymore and she wanted better for her and her kids. So she leaves, okay? She finds the courage to leave this marriage. She's 44, 46 years old. She lives in Seattle and she decides to leave her husband. And she has no idea what she's doing. She has no idea how she's going to provide for her family. She lives in a tiny town and she asks her boss for a raise. And she's really good at what she does. She's worked there for quite some time. And they just kind of look at her like, no, not going to happen, right? So she kind of feels defeated, but then she goes home and she's like, what am I going to do? Like, I have to find a side hustle. Like, how do I provide for my kids, right? So her friend's like, well, what about wreaths? You're really good at making wreaths. Those circle things that you put on your door, like the decorative ones that you switch out for seasons and stuff. And she's like, yeah, I guess. She's like, yeah, I am good at that. So she goes to work like she does every single day. And then she comes home in the evenings and works on making these wreaths, starts posting them on Facebook, and then eventually figured out how to post them on Etsy. And then they start selling. And, she's not a dummy. She's Googling things like SEO, how to name the wreath, perfectly so that when people are typing to find it in the search box, they can find hers. She starts doing really well. And then after a while, she starts selling so many of these wreaths that after materials and everything, she's clearing about $1,000 a month, okay? Now, $1,000 a month for a single mom and for one that just wants to make ends meet and wants to be able to breathe a little bit, that's kind of a big deal, you guys. $1,000 is a lot. So she is making about $1,000 a month. And then soon, the other friends that she does arts and crafts with start coming to her and they're like, how are you selling so many wreaths? They know that she's posting them on Etsy, but they're like, how do you do that? How do you post it on Etsy and sell? So then the first couple times she just kind of helps her friends and she's just like, oh, okay, let me show you, she starts explaining the process, whatever. But after a little while, because again, she ain't no dummy, well-researched, okay? Well-researched on Google and YouTube, she thinks, I've heard people talk about digital products and courses. Like maybe I should create a digital course on how to teach people to sell on Etsy. And so she creates this digital course, and it starts selling so well, you guys, because by that point, she's posting her wreaths on Instagram. Maybe if somebody bought a wreath from her on Etsy, they start following her on Instagram, whatever. Her influence, her presence, it's growing. And she creates this course to teach others to have the same level of success. And then she starts to grow. Her money, the $1,000 that she was making selling these wreaths, I mean, it's a good amount to pay bills, to get a little bit of relief. It's not life changing, right? Not life changing. So the moment that she starts to use that passion or that interest that she had, something she was good at, it propelled her into many different businesses today. She's absolutely successful. She's doing really, really well for her and her family. And it, I don't know why, but I wanted to share that story because hearing that story, it kind of showed me like, okay, Yadi, stop for a second. Like, what are you good at? What do you like to do? And the number one thing that popped in my head is I like to teach. And I've always liked to teach. But, we have to learn how to stop the negative self talk and then shift it or spin it in a way that our mind understands in a positive way. So, what I mean by that is during COVID, it was really hard for me. The words that were coming out of my mouth was, this is really hard. I don't know how to teach my kids. Like, I'm not a good teacher. That's what I would say over and over again. When in reality, what I started to remember is in high school, when I was pregnant with my first son, told my mom, I said, I want to be a nurse. And she's like, okay, what kind of nurse? And I said, well, I want to go to school to be a nurse, but I'm not going to be a nurse very long. But I have to do my time in the hospital, so I'll be a labor and delivery nurse. But eventually what I want to do is I want to teach. And she's like, well, you want to teach what? And she's like, you want to teach like in a nursing program? And I said, no, I'd love to teach teenage moms that are pregnant and still in the high school system how to take care, like prenatal care, how to take care of their bodies and their nutrition while they're pregnant, because that's something that people just don't teach a teenager that just got pregnant, right? All we do is reprimand and judge. So that never happened. Okay. I never finished nursing school, but I used to say I like to teach. Well, fast forward 23 years. The firm that I work at, I'm an insurance broker, if you didn't know. I always say that I've had the best teachers, the best mentors that have helped me succeed very quickly and to get to the point where I'm at in my career. But they asked me before they hired me, they said, if you could create your dream role, your dream job, what would it be? So I said, if I could create my dream role, dream job, I like to train and develop new producers. I want to show them everything that took me 23 years to learn, and have them cut their time in half or more. I want them to be successful like I am, but quicker. And I just have a passion for it. I'm not a gatekeeper. If I know that something's working and it's working well, I'm like a walking billboard. I want to shout it out to the world, to anybody that will listen. So that's kind of my passion. I like to teach people to do things quicker than I did. I've got all the tools. I've got all the tricks of the trade. Let me show you how to get there, and let me show you how to get there quickly. And so that is what my dream role would be. Now, I'm not operating in my dream role, but I am doing these things for my company in my division, for producers across the country. I'm not paid to do that. I'm paid to do something else, but it's just something that I love to do that brings value to our company. So I spend time training, developing, and mentoring others to become successful in this space of insurance that I'm in as well. Now, it got me thinking. I was like, oh, this is what I'm good at. This is what I love to do. How do I monetize that? How do I monetize that? Now, while I will not be sharing how I monetize that here because it does directly affect my job, I just want you to know that that was what helped me. And it will be different for everybody depending on what you do and what your interests are. So it really doesn't matter. But I want you guys to think along those lines. What am I good at, and what do I like doing? Like, what do I like doing, and what am I good at? Start with things that you're good at, because that means that you're already coming in with experience in that area, with knowledge base that you can help provide others. and then kind of go from there. That was the one thing that made all the difference. It's so simple, you guys, and I don't mean to minimize it, but it's like, find what you're good at, find what you like doing, and then figure out a way to create a business. Or if business is not your goal, find a way to use those things to make impact in your community, in your churches, schools, jobs, or the world. Now that I said that out loud, I feel kind of silly. Like, I feel kind of silly because I'm like, wait, Yadira, that's my full name, not Yadi. I'm like, wait, so that's what took you all these years to figure out? Like, so many years just sitting around contemplating, like, how do I find my passion? How do I figure out what I'm supposed to do? Like, that's it? You literally, that's all you had to do? Find out what you're good at and what you like doing. And I think that's it. And it's as simple as that. It took a long time for me to get here and to finally have it click. I also think it took, listening to the right information. So fill your feed with podcasts that are going to focus on what you want to accomplish next. I guess I'm not mad at the time frame. I've been through so many crazy things in my life, you guys, that again, hindsight is always 2020. Everything I've been through, I know has not only brought me to this exact place here today, but it's also prepared me for what's next. And it's prepared me for that dream, like that secret dream that was in my mind that I just didn't see how it could be possible for me. Like, now I see it. Now I see it. And I know that every experience I've been through will help me to have success in that space that I'm headed. Okay, number 3, this one's, I'm definitely going to get into depth, but that's just who I am. Okay, number 3 is learn how to start. Start before you're ready, even if you're merely just chipping away. Okay, this is so important. I have some really, really cool updates. I won't share everything because it's not for me to share, but whatever. I'll tell you some of it so that you can get the point. Learn how to start. So for me, I'll give you an example of me and one of my husbands. So for me, learning how to start, there's an area in which I want to start my business. And there's somebody that already does it a little bit differently than what I'm going to do in a different space. But he already does it and he does it well. He likes me. He knows that I'm a top performer and we have good rapport. I'm going to go to him and I'm going to ask, will you mentor me? Okay. I love what you do and I want to recreate it in a different space. Will you mentor me? Now, this guy, I mean, he likes me. He knows me. I don't know if he wants to even be bothered with me or if he has the time. There's people that just don't have the time. But I'm going to ask anyway, right? The squeaky wheel gets the oil. So I'm going to ask, would you be willing to take me on as your mentee, right? If he says no, I don't have time, or, I just don't even know where I would start, whatever. If there's any type of opposition, I would say, okay, that's fine, completely fine. Will you at least give me 3 tips to send me off? I just want knowledge from his brain because he's been able to accomplish this successfully. So, okay, that's fine. Not going to get my feelings hurt. Give me 3 tips and I'll go away. And then I'll go and I'll search for the next fountain of information, right? So that's my plan, is I'm going to ask him, you've been successful. I really enjoy what you do. I need a mentor. Are you willing to mentor me? And then from that meeting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start getting my business strategy in place. Like, where are my clients going to come from? How will I market my product? How will I pitch my product? How will I work this business while having a full-time job? Because I'm still going to have a full-time job. All of these things have to be laid out. So that's what I'm going to do next. And so that's why I say learn how to start, if it's a business or whatever it is that you want to do to reinvent yourself, and then come up with a strategy. So that's my strategy. Now, at the end, I say, start before you're ready, even if you're merely just chipping away. I want to give you another example. My husband, many of you guys know, what happened with him the last 2 years. And again, I'll link the video up here and down below. But he's always had this dream, first and foremost, of owning a business. But he has always, and I mean always, I've known this guy since he was 14. We've been together for 26 years. He's always had a passion for fitness, for activity, but more than anything for boxing. And he's had this dream of opening up his own gym. And this is a dream that's like decades old, you guys, like at least 10 years old. Okay. He always has talked about having a boxing gym, being a boxer, being a boxing coach. Now he's still recovering, mind you. So he's still not 100%. He has had this dream. And so what he did is he signed up for some courses. His back was really, really bad. So he had some limitations. Sometimes he would lay in bed all day long. So what he started doing is taking these courses online to get his boxing certification. And I said, well, what will you do with that? And he said, I don't know, open up my gym. And when he said that, it was just so beautiful to see him like, oh my gosh, this guy, as depressed as he was from everything that's happened to him, he's starting to dream again. And that's wonderful. Like, I love that so much. So he started doing his classes online. And then one night he says, hey, there's a boxing clinic like nearby, like 5 hours away. And I said, oh, okay. Why would you want to do that? And I immediately think like, I don't want him to get hurt, you know, like he's still not 100%. And he's like, well, no, it's a clinic to certify you as a coach. You don't have to get them to open up your gym, but you do if you want to be like a ringside coach or whatever. So he's like, if I can't box anymore because of my physical limitations, like I can coach and I could be a ringside coach. And I'm like, dude, that is so cool. Do it. So I encouraged him and he did. He ended up paying for this clinic. And that's where he is this weekend. Do we know where the gym will be? No. Do we know how we're going to get funding to start a gym and buy the stuff, like all the, you know, property he needs, business property, all that? No. We have no flipping clue. But guess what? He is pursuing his passion. He's good at it. And he is starting before he's even ready. He wants to start one step at a time. And that's exactly, I was just telling him this morning, I was texting him, telling him how proud I am of him and, you know, how it's just so cool to watch him like chase his dreams, you know? And I'm like, that's so cool that, you know, he's doing this. Like, just because he doesn't have funding for his gym, just because he doesn't have the first clue on how to run QuickBooks to run a business or even what our location will be, like that didn't stop him from taking the first step. And that's literally the difference. I'm going to say this and it's like, oh my gosh, this is so true, you guys. And please, please, please hear me. That is the number one difference between me, between you, and everybody else that doesn't chase their dreams. The only difference, we're not smarter than people that had a dream or had an idea and never realized it. We're not better. We don't have more money. We don't have the right friends more than other people. The only difference that separates us from people that will never realize their dreams is action. Okay. I mean, if you're watching the video and it's been this long and you're still watching it, it's action. Like it shows that you're like, ooh, tell me more. I want to know more. How do I do it? How do I do it? Right? It shows that you're ready to take that step, to take action, to build the life that you want, because that's what I want, right? I have a video on my channel, like 2-3 years old now, and I was trying to encourage people or teach people how to start a beauty YouTube channel. And one of the things that I tell them, like, start before you're ready. Start before you're ready. You're never going to be perfectly ready. You're never going to have all of the tools or all of the information that you need. But if you are dedicated to your dream, if you want to make it a reality, you're going to figure it out. It's literally not rocket science. And we've got Google. If it's on Google, then it must be true. And you can find all the information that you need on Google, if nowhere else. But we're in an era of information, which means that literally anything and everything that could possibly pop in your head that you're wondering about, you can find information on. So basically, there is no excuse. Start before you're ready and just figure it out along the way. Don't wait for everything to be perfect for stars to align, because guess what? Stars don't align. Stars don't align. I don't even know where that came from. Stars are scattered everywhere, but somehow it's a beautiful creation. So start before you're ready. Who gives a shit if your stars are all over the place? As long as you know where you're going, you will figure it out. That's it. Number 4, which I kind of just already touched on, but Still want to define number four. Number four is action is your differentiator. Again, the only difference, I used to tell people this all the time in insurance, like when they would say, oh my God, I don't know if I can do it. You're just so good. And like these networking events, I'm in sales. They're just so nerve wracking. And like, how do you just, oh my gosh, you're just so good at it. And I said, no, listen to me. I've been doing this for 20 something, 23 years. And when I tell you that I'm like an introvert, extrovert, is that what they call it? Like, I am extroverted, but at the same time, you know, I like my alone time and I'm still very much overwhelmed by large crowds. And you know, it's scary. It's overwhelming to go into a room full of people that you don't know and try to somehow establish a connection that will hopefully turn into more business for you, right? So that's scary. And I would tell people all the time, like, I'm no better, I'm no different. I can't even sit there and talk, you know, private universities and where I went to school with these people, right? The only difference between me and you is that even though I'm scared shitless, even though my knees are shaking and I don't know who I'm going to find, what I'm going to talk about, how I will connect to these people, the only difference is action. Is that even though I'm scared, I'm still going to walk into that event and I'm still going to figure it out. Now, I might sit in the corner awkward for a few minutes, you know, pretending to be on my phone like I'm so important or whatever, until I find that other person that's just as scared as I am, freaking out like I am, that is talking to no one. And I'll quickly go over there and talk to them, but I'm still going to do it, regardless of how scared I am, regardless of how nervous and how I just feel like I don't compare to the people in the room. I'm still going to do it. Nobody's going to stop me from doing it. That is the difference. Now, if you say, well, Yadi, it just seems like you're just way more confident than I am. I just can't do it. I'm not good at this, or I'm not good at connecting with people, whatever. I would challenge you, if you've been the person that, you know, traditionally says, no, I can't, or it's too hard, or like, I've tried it, it hasn't worked. I mean, I tried it for 6 years straight until it did work, right? What I would tell you is, are you happy with where you're at? I mean, are you satisfied? I would say clearly not, because you're here watching this video. If you're somebody that wants more, I guess the question is, how bad do you want it? Are you going to step out and do what it takes? As scary as it seems, are you going to do what it takes? Or are you just okay one day on your deathbed, like, not to get morbid, but on your deathbed saying, yeah, I always wanted to do this and I never did it. Like, are you okay with that? I'm not okay with that. If I'm being honest, I just thought about it now. Like, maybe that's where I started to become or feel unsettled, was watching my mom transition and to see the peace in which she was leaving. And she had said this for months before she passed away, guys. She would say things like to my sister and I, like, ooh, she's like, you guys are in such a good place. You're getting along. I'm good to go. I can die any day now and be happy. Or she would say things like, you know, if we would come home excited about like something that was happening for work or whatever, she'd say, now that you guys are financially stable and happy in your careers, like, I can die now. I'm happy. She'd see things that were happening with the church, you know, that my parents were pastors for 30 something years or whatever. And she'd be like, you know, I'm really excited about what we've been able to do here. I'm happy. I can go now. So it was just all of these things of like things like goals she had, things that she had set out for herself, like to see those realized, because my mom was a very meek woman, not very well educated, but one that was so passionate about loving people that when she came up with a goal in her head, like, she made it happen, even if she was twisting me and my sister's arms the whole way to get there to help her with something at church. She made it happen. And she would put on these amazing events for women. She loved these women. She did a great job. And, you know, I guess just thinking back to her life, it's like, man, she lived a really well-intentioned life. She accomplished many things in her life. And I know that the day that I pass to the next life, when I'm very, very old and my grandkids are all there, maybe great grandkids, I want to have that peace of knowing, like, damn, I lived a good life. I took action. I went after and chased my goals, and I did what I set out to do. Like, that's the life I want to live. And if that doesn't speak to you, then that's okay. We're all different. But I just know that, like, I have no other choice. I have to go after what I want aggressively and passionately because I feel like I have something really good to share with people, and because I want to help people, and because I want to experience the same thing my mom did when I go to the next life. There's no other option. A little highlighting situation. This is the e.l.f. I like it. It's really light. Look at how pretty it is. Doesn't it like pick up your makeup or anything. It just so pretty. Okay, the next one's gonna be so weird. You guys are gonna be like, what is this girl even saying? But I heard it somewhere else, so I've always been that type anyway, but I heard it and I was like, oh, okay, that just confirmed that I'm right. The last one is teach along the way. And you're like, what do you mean? That literally makes no flippin' sense, girl. How are you going to teach along the way if you're still learning it yourself? Well, first of all, what we're talking about here is not rocket science, okay? I'm not teaching you how to perform brain surgery. This is life stuff. But second of all, the time where it will be the most present in your mind and the most clear is when you're learning it. So that's when you should be teaching it. And so, it's one of those things like, ooh, I just recently watched a podcast and they were talking about blah, 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 right? It's still very clear in your mind. And so how do you stay true to your goal? Start sharing it with people and then teach along the way because somebody will learn from you. You don't know what you might inspire in somebody else or ignite in them. Maybe they've already been thinking about it. Maybe they just need that push from somebody telling them, like, you can do this. This is how we're going to do it. Like, you just never know where you're going to find people. And so if you start teaching along the way, you don't know who will listen. And, at the same time, they say, like, you are the circle you keep. You will start to attract the people that are like-minded, that are on the same trajectory as you are. And so many beautiful things can come from that. Like, you would have support partners that are trying to accomplish the same thing you are. Accountability partners, I guess you could call them. You never know. Somebody listening to what you have to share, maybe your business partner 2 years from now. You just never know. But sharing as you're learning, I think, like they say, sharing is caring, but then also keeping you sharp and keeping you focused, and it keeps you motivated to keep going because you guys, all of this stuff that we're talking about today is not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it, right? That's just the truth. It's not easy. There are going to be times where the path is so clear and you know exactly what you need to do to get to the next level. And then there's going to be other times when you're just like so lost and it's becoming harder and harder. So it's really tempting to just quit. But teaching others, putting it out there that this is what you're working on currently will attract other people to you that may come to you for advice. And it's like, when you feel like shit, like you're throwing yourself a pity party and you're going through something really tough in your life or whatever, and then somebody comes to you out of nowhere, maybe just in conversation, they're just sharing what they're going through, and then it turns into like a full-on like therapy sesh between you guys where trying to help that other person work through an issue or talk through an issue. Have you ever noticed that at the end when you're done, you feel so much better? Like literally you still have the same problems that you did before this person came along. Nothing was resolved on your behalf or for you with your issues, but you just feel better. And in the Bible, there's this verse that says like iron sharpens iron. As iron sharpens iron, so is that of a good friend. Or it's trying to tell you like surround yourself with good friends. Good friends sharpen good friends. Entrepreneurs sharpen entrepreneurs. Have you ever heard of these CEO breakfasts? These breakfast meetings full of CEOs. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you aligned and motivated and all of that. But it'll just make you feel better. It'll keep you sharp. It'll keep you motivated. And by the time you're done helping this person talk through why they shouldn't quit on their dreams, you'll walk away thinking like, yeah, I've got a renewed sense here. Like, I can't quit. Like, I know what I want. I know what these dreams are of mine, and I'm going to keep going. So the last one that I wanted to talk about is, teach along the way. It's when the information is the most fresh in your mind, and it will keep you motivated. It'll keep you sharp. You'll be able to sharpen others that will in turn sharpen you. It's not going to be an easy road. It's not going to be a short road. And I also think, like, although I'm envisioning the life that I want to create by doing this, with Anthony being sick and everything we went through, like now in hindsight, I see it this way even more now, is like, it's not even about getting to like build this multi-million dollar company, which I will. But it's about the journey, like life's little lessons and blessings and the people that I'll meet through this and all of that. And I don't know, it's like, it's so true. Like, it's cheesy. It sounds corny, like, oh, it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. But it's true. That's what I'm learning, and it's so true. And that's what I wanted to share today. Let me show you quickly what my final look looks like with my lipstick and my mascara, and we will close it out. Okay, so this is the final look. I wasn't gonna go with this crazy orange, but I really, really like it. It's the new BK Beauty lipstick shade Empower, and I like it. It's the weekend. It's the summer. I wanted to do something bright, so I just lined it with my Gucci. No, this is Patrick Ta. Patrick Ta in She's Not From Here. Because I ain't from here, honey. I am from this little town called Complacency. So anyway, that's what I'm wearing. This is the final look. I hope you liked it. And if not, it's okay. Don't let me know. I hope that what we talked about maybe sparked something in you, okay? And please leave some comments down below if you resonate with anything that I shared today. I am going to be sharing, I'm going to be sharing because I feel like this is when the information is most present in my mind. I want to hear of some of the things that you do or things you've been doing to help take you to the next level up, empower yourself, reinvent yourself, change your mindset, whatever it is that you're doing, if you're on the same road than I am. But yeah, I just thought it was something I wanted to share. I think that it's, in a way, although makeup is the basis of my channel, kind of a direction where we'll be taking a lot of our conversations. So anyway, go follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you won't, and I will see you next time. Bye.